Content warning. The following video contains material that may be harmful or traumatizing to some audiences. People experiencing suicide and crisis ideation can call, text, or chat the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Hello, welcome to the CCCNews podcast. I'm here with Heidi, Burton, and Michelle. We don't have Burton or Michelle on camera right now because we're going to talk about some psilocybin, and we're going to talk about recovery through psilocybin, and it's still a difficult space in our society, and so we're keeping our identities while we've verified everybody's identity. We're going to keep it from the general sphere of the internet for a second, and instead we're going to see myself and Heidi through this, and we're really glad for you guys to be here. Welcome.
It's good to be here.
Oh, great. So we're here to talk about psilocybin. What's psilocybin, Heidi?
Oh, psilocybin is a natural plant medicine. It's a fungus. There are hundreds of psilocybin mushrooms that include this molecule, the psilocybin molecule. It's a really interesting molecule because in your body, it turns into a smaller molecule called psilocin, and that molecule grabs onto serotonin receptors in your nerve cells. And it sends, this is what we think happens, we're just humans, but we think what's happening is it sends a signal in that nerve cell that says connect. So it starts building new nerve cells, new receptors on the nerve cell, and it just sends this message, connect, connect, connect. And when it reaches a tipping point in your body, it causes your brain to cross-connect in ways that it has never cross-connected before. So parts of your brain that don't even speak the same language are able to share information with each other. And the result of this is that it is a powerful method of treating depression, PTSD, anxiety, alcohol use disorder. Those are the things that are really well researched. And now we're having more research come out on treating OCD, migraines, Parkinson's, and stroke. So it's an amazing medicine. And in Oregon, it is legal to use psilocybin in a licensed service center. I have one of those, Vital Reset in Hood River. And we see people having amazing results all the time. Super excited to have Burton and Michelle share their story because I could tell you so much about them that I didn't know before they came into the service center, but I'll let them tell their own stories. It's been an amazing thing for us to watch the relief and just amazing healing. I'm using the word amazing too many times, but it's true. It just is. And we see this all the time. We see people come in with depression and go home without it. The studies show that people are free from depression for 5 years. 66% of people are free of depression for 5 years after one treatment. And you can't get that from a pharmacy. It's a plant medicine that we evolved with, and it does this interesting thing of healing us. And I think more people should be trying it for what's ailing them.
That's fascinating. Thank you. And as I say, you brought Michelle and Burton along. Why don't you introduce them and we'll hear from them?
Yeah, it's fun to introduce Burton. So the first time I heard about Burton, his facilitator, Jadrin, called me and said, "I've got this guy, and I'm kind of scared of him, but I really think he needs this, and I really want to help him." And we talked it over. Our staff talked it over, and we didn't know. If we'd known everything we know now about Burton, we would have never let him come. But we decided, we're doing this to help people, so let's just keep ourselves safe. We know how to de-escalate. We'll trust, right? We'll have faith and trust. And we let him come in. And when he came in for his first treatment, he was like a brick wall. He was like a brick wall. He was just tense in every part of himself. And we could tell he was desperate and scared. And we just hoped it would go well. And I'll let you tell him about what happened after that.
Yeah, welcome, Burton.
Oh, and
Hello.
I didn't introduce Michelle. Michelle's his wife. She plays an important part in this too, because without her, Burton would have never found us,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't have been able
yeah,
to come
yeah.
at all.
Well, welcome, Ben and
Welcome.
Michelle. Thank you so much for coming on
Thank
the
you for having
podcast. We really appreciate it. Tell us how this started for you. Tell us how we got to that point of walking in to Vital Reset and meeting Heidi and her team.
To be kind of a quick story, I guess I had a really angry childhood growing up.
Yeah.
You know, you look at it, parents divorced at a very young age. You know, I'm in my mid 50s now, and, you know, it was different back. Life was a lot different back then.
Yeah.
And I just turned to anger because if I took happiness away, then you had nothing to take from me. Grew up being a college athlete, a national college athlete, suffered head injuries, concussions, you know, growing up. Back then, you know, you get knocked out. No one ever thought anything. Graduated college. I went into law enforcement, worked in law enforcement, then went into private security. During my career, I suffered 2 really bad traumatic brain injuries. I can't even tell you, multiple concussions. I mean, when I took a team out, I always led my team. I would never ask people to do something I wouldn't do. I mean, I was physically knocked unconscious 3 times in one day. After I had my 2 head injuries, they ended up retiring me at 34 for post-traumatic stress disorder. I got labeled that, like, before it was cool to be labeled that. And after I retired out, I knew I was kind of an angry person and stuff like that. But if you looked at how I was just a perfect warrior. I mean, there was nothing that could stop me. I had no empathy. I had no care, no concern. All I knew was what I needed to do had to be done, no matter what it was. The cost of it didn't mean anything to me. So I just killed so many parts of my life just to stay what I was, and I became perfect at it. Well, I've been diagnosed with complex PTSD, and they believe I have CTE from my head injuries. Over about 15 to 18 years, I just turned into an extremely violent person, you know, multiple assaults to people. There was just no rhyme or reason to me. I was just a walking time bomb. If you gave me a reason to blow, I would. It was just ridiculous. If you gave me a reason, I took it. And I looked for it every single day, and I became perfect at it. So I found it every single day. My life just ended up really going to hell. But I learned to live in that hell. Because it came a day where, you know, many years ago, I wanted to take my life, and my wife told me that I could never live past your death. So out of that, I just kind of entombed myself in rage. And I found happiness in it. I found a life in it. But I was just always on that edge. There was just no... The only thing I was designed for was to fight. And when I couldn't fight no more, it's just all I looked for. Well, within 15 years, I became so violent that, I mean, I could stare at walls for 3 days. I mean, just absolutely ridiculously violent. The outbursts were just completely insane. You know, people go 1 to 10, I go 1 to 100. If somebody crossed me an inch, I took a mile from them just to prove a point. Well, my life, I just learned to live in it, and I learned to live in the hell that it was and just didn't care. And then a miracle happened for me as my wife's father died. And I say it was a miracle because after he died, I could see that she could make it past death. Well, we're both at our 50s and stuff like that. And I got tired of how I was. You know, right before all this happened, I got kicked out of my gym for knocking a kid out. And cost me $7,000 to get out of. And I just got tired of it. I sat down and I told my wife, I said, I just want you to know this is going to sound shitty, but it's how life's going to be. I am going to take my life. And she said, I can't get past your death. And I said, you got past your father's death. Your father's death should be much harder for you. So I told her, just let me live to my birthday. Long story short, we got advised by my clinical psychologist to try psychedelics because they were legal in Oregon. Funny part was she meant ketamine. Well, Michelle Googled psychedelics. We found Vital Reset, and they weren't even open yet. So we had to wait 2 weeks till they finished their building and stuff like that. And I think I was one of the first 5 people that they did. And with how I was lucky I was ever even done, because when I had my first interview with Jadron, and he was probably the only facilitator that would take me, and I truthfully owe my life to Jadron, and what Jadron's learned to me, I hope he helps many people. Because when I talked to him on the phone, he asked me plain out, he said, Burton, if you were on psychedelics and you completely lost everything, what could happen? I said, simple, I'd kill you. And he's on the phone and it just goes quiet, and he goes, What do you mean? I said, oh, it's simple. I've tried my whole life. I've taken life. I would just take yours. I would kill you in a second. You're a hippie. And I said, the people at Vital Reset, they're nice people, but they're older hippies that kill everyone here and leave. And that was the end of our conversation. And that's what they had to go back and talk about to see if I could be treated. But, I wasn't going to lie. And the truth is, if I lost my stuff, I could easily kill everyone there. Mm-hmm. And, kind of a bad way to be in life, but it was the truth.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Yeah. It was, well, they decided to help me out. And I'll tell you, I can't even begin to tell you how much my life has changed. The one big thing I can say about psychedelic treatments are each individual person, you will see what you need to see to be able to walk away from, get away from, to learn from, to better yourself. The things I had to see aren't what everyone will see, but it's kind of funny because we all kind of see the same when you hear about the different journeys. But I'm just happy Vital Reset gave me a place to get what I had out of me, because it's a sad thought to have to think you have to go out and take your life because you have no more to offer. Mm-hmm. And, I was ready for it. And I'm not one who plays the game and cries for help. No, I would just go and do it. But these nice people took in a person like me who was extremely broke. And they sat there with me. And I remember during one of my journeys, John, one of the owners here, I was just completely saying things that no human should hear, just the worst things you could ever hear. I found out later that John came into my room and he knelt at my bed while I was laying there. He cried for me out of happiness. And out of happiness, you say? He was happy I was getting out what I needed to get out. It wasn't what I was getting out. He didn't judge me for what I was saying, what I had to get out. He was just so happy for me that I was releasing it, as violent as it was. Mm-hmm. Completely insane. It's been an up and down ride. Mm-hmm. But to go from a person who's a hardened warrior, who has no fear, I have no fear. You stick a gun in my face, pull the trigger. Are you scaring me? That doesn't scare me. To go from a person like that to now, I have complete empathy. I have complete feelings. My life is so different. I took every bit of armor that I built up onto me and the sword that I carried, and I took that armor off. I'm still the same person. I didn't lose anything of what I was, and a lot of people get scared they're going to change. I'm the same person I was before. Mm-hmm. It's just now my life's completely different. Yeah. I don't think of 1 to 100. I have a 1 to 10 now.
That's nice.
It's crazy.
Are you feeling hopeless, stuck, tried everything? Introducing psilocybin therapy. Not new, not patented, just finally legal here in Oregon. At Vital Reset, they don't sell pills from Big Pharma. They sit with you while your brain takes a deep breath into the cosmos and rearranges itself. Clients and actual research report relief from depression, anxiety, PTSD, and substance use. Others come for traumatic brain injury, Parkinson's, migraines, or just that crushing, shapeless, existential feeling of dread, otherwise known as depression. Side effects may include laughter, tears, joy, unexpected forgiveness, reduced shame, emotional breakthroughs, better sex, hugging trees, dancing alone, and finally understanding what your cat has been trying to tell you this whole time. Rarely reported side effects include anxiety, brief confusion about whether in fact you are the universe, or feeling way too emotionally available at brunch. Ask your doctor if mushrooms are right for you, or come talk to us at Vital Reset. There's a strong chance that you'll finally feel like yourself again.
Burton, you haven't talked at all about your headaches and your seizures. I'd like you to bring that in, because I think that was really important.
This is one of the most craziest things that I would never even believe. I suffer traumatic-induced seizures, from my brain seizures. I've had them for probably 15 years. I suffer about 5 to 7 a week, and they're extremely violent. I hypertense. I don't convulse. Mm-hmm. And when I hypertense, my muscles lock up. I break fingers, toes. I'm a bigger guy. I'll turn around and hypertense up for 2 minutes, and I got 3 fingers broke. And give me headaches, the ringing in my head that I've had for 15 years since my head injuries are just absolutely insane. Well, ever since I came to Vital Reset and did my very first treatment with them, I can say I'm 2 years free of seizures. I have not had one seizure. I have not had one problem with seizure related. Another crazy part about it is I've been through 15 different doctors because I don't trust them and I get into fights with them and they just give me pills and pills and pills. When I came to Vital Reset, I took 3 different pills a day, 2 different pills for sleep. I literally went to my doctor and got my anxiety medication up to 3. After my first treatment, I've never, and I know a lot of people shouldn't do this or anything, but
Yes.
after my first treatment, I've never taken another pill again for anxiety. I've never taken another thing for sleep. I've never taken another thing to keep me going through the day. And before, I walked around and drooled.
Yeah.
But completely seizure-free for 2 years, 15 years of prior seizures since my treatment, not another seizure again. If that would have been the complexity of my treatments, that would have been a miracle. But I've walked away from my entire past and everything. And I mean, my clinical psychologist that I was seeing before I came to Vital Reset would get excited every time I showed up each week because she didn't think I'd make it each week. She would cry because she thought I'd blow my head off each time. Well, after my first treatment and I went back and seen her, she physically said to me that this could not be done in a lifetime in a clinical setting. I go to my family doctor after my first treatment and he sits down with me and he told me he cannot believe in a medical way that this happened because he told me his physical only job for me was to try to keep me comfortable because I was too far gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to bring something up. That whole suicidal thought, suicidal ideation stuff, that was something we didn't know about Burton when Jadron said he wanted to bring him in. We knew that he was scary, but we didn't know that he might hurt himself. If we had known he had suicidal ideation, we could not legally treat him with mushrooms. And this hasn't been studied enough, right? It just has not been studied enough. They've based that rule on the fact that some people have higher suicidality after a mushroom trip. There are a lot of things that can happen to you after a mushroom trip besides the lovely results that Burton got. You know, you can have increased anxiety. There are just lots of things where you need somebody to walk you through getting yourself back to stability because it's a powerful medicine. I mean, there are times when I'm sitting with somebody and I think, who do I think I am just helping people have this medicine because it is so incredible. And also, everybody reacts to it differently. And I also, I really want to bring in how difficult this must have been for Michelle to live with this anger, these headaches, this man who couldn't go out in traffic because he was afraid he was going to kill somebody if they didn't put on their turn signal, all of that. Like, we helped him for sure, but Michelle was really like the catalyst in the middle there. She kept him alive until she was able to find something that would really treat what he had. So, yeah, I'm not trying to take your job,
amazing.
Robin.
No, you're doing great. Thank you. Tell us, Michelle, that must have been really transformative in the house and for you and in your life, right?
He's the man in front of you is the man I met, right? And so for years, things started to change. And I feel like my purpose in life was for him. And I think God brought me to him to do this. I do. I feel like that I wouldn't change anything. But I definitely do feel like I was his biggest cheerleader, even in the darkest times. And so being able to find this gift, this place, just, it was truly an accident. I couldn't feel more blessed because the man that I knew 20 years ago is the man that I have back today. Our lives did a full circle. And so we just are living our best lives now. There's really not, I mean, it's amazing to me to see a man who at times could be so angry over, I don't know what. And then now he wakes up in the morning. Sometimes, I mean, I don't even know if he notices, but I'll be in another room and he'll be singing a song. And I'm like, whoa, is he really singing right now?
Not screaming, not yelling.
Yeah, and he's having such the best day. And that to me is just like that there's just nothing. I'm sorry, I don't have the words to express, like that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely transformative. Yeah.
Hey friend, if you're having a tough time right now, you're not alone. Whether you're dealing with stress, mental health challenges, emotional pain, or concerns about alcohol or drug use, there's someone here ready to listen. Just dial or text 988 anytime, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is here for you 24/7, 365 days a year. It's free, it's confidential, and it's available to anyone. Yes, even if you're reaching out for someone else. The counsellors in 988 are trained, caring, and judgment-free. They're ready to talk, to listen, and to help you or someone you care about get through a difficult moment. You matter, your story matters, and help is just 3 numbers away. Call, text, or chat 988 anytime, anywhere.
It's one of the things people talk about here in psychedelics, but also in other elements of human transition, right? Is ego death, right? Our ego is this self that walks around the world, and it's an extension of self, right? It's not quite. It's our ego isn't the person that we are. It's the person that we bring to each situation to keep us safe or to keep us conforming or to keep us, whatever we're dealing with in that moment. And one of the things people go through is ego death, and it is really transformative. Is that something, one of the things you went through? What was that like for you?
My ego death, I could say, was it was pretty different. I mean, it was a very tough thing, and I'll explain a quick second on ego. Ego is literally who you make yourself. From everything you do, from how you dress to how you look when you walk into a place to how you look up and down people and everything. And like I said, I called it a warrior, but my ego was perfect. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was crazy. When I got diagnosed with PTSD, I walked into a room and they had me sit down. They said, draw everything behind you. It took me 20 minutes. It was just crazy. But my ego was so big and so strong. It's what I become.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I went through my ego death, I had to go through a very, very violent ego death for me to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I had to see all sides of it and everything like that. But the biggest thing I could say is it is absolutely true. I shed that ego of mine through treatment here. And if I never have shedded that ego, I wouldn't be here today.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally like the next day I weighed 1,000 pounds lighter. I had no armor on. You look at every scar, everything I have on me, it's just armor built up so deep, so thick. And I became perfect at it. You look at anybody who works in law enforcement, you look at soldiers, their egos are just ridiculous because it's how it has to be.
Yeah.
And to actually shed that, that's how I explained earlier. I was still the same man when I lost my ego, but I wasn't what I built. I was truly me again. And at 52 years old, to be truly who you are without that ego, it was like I was 12 again. My whole life started over. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I learned feelings. And like I said, I'm still learning feelings where something happens and I'm like, what do I do? Okay, I feel this way. I am sad.
Yeah.
Because instead of being sad and me going, anger, I can be sad. I can have empathy. I can look at somebody else and feel for them before I will look at them and figure a way to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
But no, ego death for men, I'll tell you, when I let go of my ego, I'm the same person, can do every single thing I could do right then, but I'm free. And I used to tell Jadrin, who I can't thank enough, I'm like a little bird. To hear me and to look at me tattooed all up, the size I am, and say I'm a bird, I am, because I'm free.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I do, I choose to do now, not because I have to. I go to the gym because I choose to, not because I have to, because I got to be bigger, I got to be stronger, I got to be stronger than you. I do it because I want to.
Yeah.
Before my treatment, I held a door for a lady. And she walked up to me and she goes, "Excuse me, I'm a very strong woman." I can get my own door. And I said, oh, I really apologize. I usually hold doors for ladies, not for effing C's. And you know, it's funny. It was funny. I laughed. I saw the shock on her face, and she looked at me and said, I've never been talked to like that. And I said, well, now you have. Because she learned a lesson, right? Well, you want to know what? Now that I realize, because of the mustache, when I open a door for somebody, it's a gift. You know, I opened the door. It was my gift. If I smile at you and you frown back, I can't get mad at you. I chose to smile at you.
Now you got to go back and explain the mustache.
Oh, the mustache was a big part after my ego death. After I faced my ego again with my last treatment with a vital reset, and it got very violent, yelling.
Yeah.
I killed you. You're dead. You can't harm me anymore. Blah 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 blah. And it was very very bad.
And you told yourself, right, in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Oh, people don't understand. In 6 hours, you live 1,000 lifetimes. I can't. People don't understand it until you do it. You'll try to explain it to people. In a 6-hour trip, you live thousands of years. But the mustache. Well, I had to go out and use the bathroom right after my vicious incident, and I was still crying and everything. I seen the nice people from Vital Reset, so I always like to try to go into the room, and they won't let me because I'm supposed to be tripping.
Can't
the mushroom room, they won't let me in there. But I always want to see everybody. Well, as soon as I open the door, some guy I've never seen before, older Asian guy, looks exactly like one of my friends with a handlebar mustache, and my friend's Asian has a handlebar mustache. As soon as I seen him, first thing that came out of my mouth was, mustache. And the guy was like shocked because he's looking at the size of me. And of course, I got no shirt on because I was just screaming in my room for 20 minutes and I'm all pumped up, jacked up. He's thinking this guy's going to kill me. And I reached out and touched his mustache. Long story short, I went back into my room. I laid down. When I went back into my trip, in a psilocybin experience, you can do 1,000 things at one time. People don't understand it unless you've done it. I looked at his mustache, how he has this handlebar mustache that a lot of people would look at and go, nice mustache, you know. But other people are like, it was his way of being friendly. Yeah. Just like my way of opening a door. If I smile at somebody, I looked at 1 second, I could see 1,000 things in my life all at once, feel the emotions of them, of how this would relate to my life. If I wore a funny pair of shoes before, I'd wear a funny shirt just so somebody would go, funny shirt. And I'd say, I'm going to break your face now. Now I wear a funny shirt because when people say, hey, funny shirt, it lets them know I'm okay. Yeah. Just like his mustache did. Yeah. So I saw thousands of ways his mustache could relate to my life. And it just sunk into me. Everything that I do that's an offering, like him deciding to do a mustache, is a gift. I can't be upset. Yeah. I do have one quick story I would like to tell you. And this was before my very first treatment. My very first treatment, this is how angry of a person I was. The very last thing that I could take for granted, I took for granted. This will show you how strong I was. We walk in, we're going to do our treatment, got to pay for mushrooms. This old guy comes out, I don't even know who this old guy is, and he looks at me, and this is what Heidi talked about, how she feels like a sorcerer sometimes, a little magic person with a gift. I swear to God, it does. Because he held out this little bag of mushrooms that I just watched my wife pay for, and he goes to hand it to me, and I reach out to take the bag. So I go to take the bag, but he doesn't let go of it, and he's still holding on to it. So of course I'm thinking, what's this kook doing? I just paid for these, you know? So I kind of start to pull them out of his hand, and he looks at me right in my eyes, and he says, Burton, all of your answers are in the mushroom. And I kind of popped the bag out of his hand like, okay, whatever. I just paid for these, right? So I go sit down. You know what I realized after that trip? After that trip, and I seen the things that I did, the things that I'm released from, the things I'm free of, my life that I'm living, I should have held that man for 20 minutes. I should have given him my Corvette. I should have treated him like a sorcerer.
There's still time.
I'm just not kidding. I should have treated him, that magical little gift that he gave me. Yeah. Freed what 15 years of anger couldn't. Yeah. Every pill in the world couldn't. Every psychologist in the world saying he's fucking, I can't help him. He's too far, Too far gone. Too far gone, right? And I took for granted the last thing before my first treatment that I could take for granted. And I regret that so much. Yeah. But it's a learning lesson because now I look at that little magic mushroom that it's called a magic mushroom. You have no idea what this can do. This will set Big Pharma out of business. This will change lives. You look at me, just me. I'm a man who shouldn't be here. Yeah. I'm a severely broken man. Now I'm healed.
Yep. Now you're doing good work in the community.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to go back to what you said about being in law enforcement and getting to get this treatment. We have worked really hard to get to know local law enforcement and to talk with EMTs, first responders, and veterans, and trying to get them in to do the mushrooms. And we keep coming up against two things. One is, I'm not going to spend this on myself when my family needs it.
100%.
They do not want to spend money on themselves. And I was just talking to somebody this morning. He got somebody to pay for a journey for 8 veterans to do together, and they got it completely free. And when he said that, I thought, oh, they should be investing something in it. And then I realized, like, we broke these people. Our military, our police forces, our EMT systems are getting injured and doing stupid things so that they get PTSD from rescuing us. We broke them. And we, as a people, whether it's we as a government or we as, like, crypto guys, wealthy people paying for veterans and first responders to get treatment, somebody should be taking care of them. They shouldn't have to give up something for their family so that they can get back to normal. However, they should do it no matter what it takes. If we've got a veteran out there who's suffering and they want to come in for this treatment, we will find a way to make it happen. And we really want to serve. We really want to serve folks in that first responder role because they've served us.
The thing that Burton said that I guess I'm repeating in my mind that is, I think, so amazing is that what you said was, the mushrooms brought you back to you. Mm-hmm. It made you like you, not like the person that was looking after you while you went through all of the things you went through. And actually, when we compare that to pharma, there's nothing like that in pharmaceuticals, right? If we can have Prozac, which will bathe the brain and chill, Wellbutrin, which helps dopamine run along its little dopamine road, there's a whole range of antidepressants and sleeping things and ways that these pharmaceutical works, but they're all changing our brain chemistry to a way to support the outcome. Right, and it's also an elevated version of self or a medicated version of self. It's not just self, right? And almost to continue that argument, and is that one of the things about antidepressants, which and mental health pharmaceuticals, is that they create some kind of reliance, right? In many cases, it's the counseling and being able to attend the counseling, and really in the situations that it works, it's the therapy and the counseling that worked. The medication just allowed that person to get to the therapy, and then it was the therapy that really provided the support that person needed to move through those things. Where this is something completely different. Right.
Oh, we have so many people say, I feel like I just had 10 years of therapy or 20 years of therapy. And that is not to say you leave this not needing any therapy.
Sure.
Because most people, if they will engage with a therapist before and after their journey, they'll get more out of it. They'll get more healing if they work with a therapist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm certainly a strong advocate for therapy. I refuse to stop going to my therapist, even though I'm also fixed from being where I was before. And so, and it's that being able to talk to the therapist, being able to see yourself, being able to be self-reflective, being able to stand beyond yourself and look into this complex thing that we call life, right?
Yeah.
And it's complex. But I love that it's what you. I love what you said. Is that like it brought you back to you.
That's right.
It literally took who I became away. You look at first responders, military, security, anything like that. I mean, you train every single day of your life to take life. And then when you're called into duty and you do that. Well, men don't want to admit it because of that ego and stuff. Oh yeah, that's what I did. I remember my age, same thing at 24 years old. Oh yeah, I was badass. But no, I mean, to strip all that away and just to be literally who you are, it's amazing.
Yeah, so good.
Good. I took years and years of training. I have $250,000 worth of training into me. I can fight instinctually. I've had situations where I should have instinctually fought during my treatments. No problem. No problem. Where honestly, I'm trained and should have hurt someone, and I instinctually didn't.
Yeah.
I cared. I had compassion. I have no care or compassion. That's a weakness. And you look at after my treatments to where I am now, I can't even say. The biggest thing is the federal funding.
Okay.
It needs to be there because it's what it can do. Look at the medications I was on, how I walked, how I lived.
So expensive.
But you do understand, like, I wasn't your average. They believe I'm the first person outside of clinical studies with CTE who's walking away.
Yeah, and CT is chronic traumatic encephalopathy. That's what causes football players and boxers to kill themselves.
This extreme violence,
Yeah.
extreme anger, and stuff like that. And so I came to Vital Reset before they were even open as the worst of the worst of who they're going to treat, right? And here's a neat thing that I did that left my legacy that I want Vital Reset to remember. Not me, not what I want, not who I was. I don't want anyone from this podcast to even remember Burton. I worked because I did multiple treatments with Vital Reset. I worked with Vital Reset. I let them know every single thing I was going through. Instead of just going through it myself, I journaled over a year to them because I wanted to help Jadron and Vital Reset learn how to treat people like me and not be afraid, where honestly, they should have told me no. I lied to them, you know? You're thinking of suicide. I'm not thinking of suicide.
lie to
I'm
us
going
more
to
than
do
once.
this.
Yeah.
Oh, I lied to them. Yeah, wait, yeah.
And you're a scary dude.
Well,
No, I mean, no,
I know.
mean that badly,
Intimidating.
right? You know,
They
but
said-
it's
The
yeah.
history,
you
the
know,
training.
yeah,
just the
it's
history, the
kinda
training, and things
yeah,
like that.
like,
But for me to be able to, but the thing was, during my treatments, I really thought, am I going to lose who I am? No. I'm right back to that that kid who I was with all my feelings before I built my ego. Now, I can still carry a ladder. If I carried a ladder before, I can carry a ladder now. I just don't need to carry a ladder.
yeah,
I can't thank Vital Reset enough.
yeah,
And the federal funding is the biggest part of it because, we paid out of pocket.
yeah.
And we were lucky enough off a donation from Vital Reset to do my last one. And I mean,
Yeah,
they decided
we
to help
brought it
us
in
out
for free on the last
Yeah.
one
because
we
they knew
fell in
I
love
was
with
kind
them.
of to a point of I might
Yeah.
chicken out and not finish my treatments. So it was best I did. And if you know somebody who's suffering, I mean, even head injuries, you look at me, it's shown I've built new brain paths in my head. I don't have seizures anymore. It's built, psilocybin has fixed my head injuries, period.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you know somebody who's suffering or know somebody, a congressman you can talk to, you have no idea. Once the federal funding is there, everybody who's like me or like me in any way or any kind of warrior can walk away from it. And it doesn't have to be somebody who's on a battlefield. Your fight is your fight.
Yeah.
You want to free yourself from your fight? Your fight, you look at me and go, oh, you did this, so I shouldn't be sad. No, your fight is yours. It's yours.
Yeah.
It's just as bad as mine. It's yours.
Yeah.
So no matter what it is, if you want to be free, psilocybin will set you free and bring exactly like you said,
Yeah.
brought me home.
Amazing.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about therapists.
Sure.
We, up until a few weeks ago, therapists were, and doctors, medical doctors and nurses were under threat from their licensing boards that if they referred someone for psilocybin therapy, they could lose their license. And a few weeks ago, the governor signed a bill here in Oregon that forbids the Oregon licensing boards from punishing therapists for referring any licensed person from referring clients. So I just want to tell therapists, we are an education resource for you to learn how to ethically refer people. We're doing a lunch and learn with the Columbia Gorge Mental Health Collaborative. I hope that's their right name.
Columbia Gorge Behavioral Health Consortium.
Thank you. Columbia Gorge Behavioral Health Consortium, who Robin works with, apparently, works with all the nonprofits around here. Yeah, so we're doing a lunch and learn where they can earn CEU credits.
Cool.
And I'm bringing in a specialist who is a therapist to talk about it, and I'm going to do some stuff. But just outside of that, we really want to talk to therapists and help them understand who is an appropriate client. Before Burton came in, I would have never said he was an appropriate client, but he was, right?
Yeah.
It turned out he was, and that goes for doctors too. For my part, my story, the reason I do this, I was on those medications. I was on antidepressants, all kinds of medications for decades. And in that time, I really did lose myself. I really forgot who I was, that I'm a vibrant person. I get stuff done. I am a happy person.
Yes.
There's nothing like better than putting on Lizzo Good as Hell and dancing around the room. That's me. That's who I am. But I completely lost it. And in 2020, I did a big mushroom journey illegally. Did it in my house with, illegally bought mushrooms. And I took a big enough dose that I laughed for 2 hours straight. I didn't have the crazy stuff Burton had. Like, that first journey was all love and laughter. And since then, I have not been depressed again.
Wow.
And that's such a miracle for me, because before, I spent part of every day treating my depression. I've
Yes.
got to go to the gym.
Yes.
I've got to put the light box on my head. I've got to put the light things in my ears. I shocked my brain with a little homemade thing that I made for
Car battery.
Yeah, it wasn't a car battery. It was a 9-volt battery. But still, that was kind of a dangerous thing to
That's a
do.
wild thing to do,
But I would do anything, and I saw so many therapists, some really terrible and some really amazing therapists. And right now, I don't need to go to therapy, but yet I think I might.
Nice.
I might have some things I need to work on.
Yeah.
And the therapy community in our area in the Gorge is just amazing. How they work together.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. And I'm grateful for them. Also, the doctors out there, we have doctors referring to us. We have had all along, but now they can do it without fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, the prohibition has led to a situation where it can be the prohibition being the illegal, like
The war on
mushrooms
drugs.
and the war on drugs that Reagan started, and it's really prohibitive of many of these chemicals that are really helpful. And they declared this war long before they knew anything about this, right? And so but to be said, like, there's the way that we've structured this in Oregon is pretty amazing, in that, like, mushrooms, when you do them on the couch, you can go a few different ways. It doesn't.
You can have a hard time by yourself.
Yes. Yes, yeah.
Right. And that's not to be scared, but it's good to be mindful about that, right? And so what are the benefits of going to Vital Reset versus doing it on the couch?
Why don't I'll go ahead and give you my example first.
Your benefits of going to Vital Reset instead of...
Going to Vital Reset was a necessity for me because, like, I've experienced the illegal side since then of taking mushrooms, but it's a lot different when you go to the facility. It's the same thing. I can't work out at a home gym because I go to the gym to work out. If I have it at home, I'm going to put this off. And when I went to Vital Reset, the trust and the love that they give you is going to make you feel comfortable. I was a person who walked in thinking, oh God, these kooks going to show me a pink dragon, neat. And how everyone there worked together for me, even when I was going through the worst of the worst or the happiness of this, they made it to where if I didn't have that bunker, that's what Jadron and I called it. The room was the bunker. We were safe in there. So, like, if I had to pee and I came out, or if I needed to come out for a second, we needed to get back into the bunker because they made it was such a safe place that I sat down with people who I don't even know and let them experience my entire life in a way. And without that comfortableness, just at home by yourself or with a loved one, no, you can't let go like that. You need to have that networking. And I'll tell you, it's a lot different. Maybe people could fix stuff at home small, but when you go there and how they work together, they make you feel safe. The whole experience when you come out to go pee, how there might be 6 people there to hug you because if you want to hug, it's there. It made it safe for me.
Consent.
With consent. Yeah, because you do sign a paper for hugging. But I was okay with it. At first I was like, no. But what they give you is a big benefit than to doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why I'd really like to see some funding or something come, because with what this could do for the normal people with their problems to everyone, you know, you look at me, I suffer absolutely no depression. Before I wasn't depressed, I was just angry all day, every day. And I could deal with it. Now you look at it, I get up every day and I'm so blessed. It's not even amazing. You know, the little problems I do have and I'm fixing. I got 2 legs. I'm standing up. I'm here. I'm talking to you. I'm not dead. But Vital Reset, that community of what they give you during your therapy is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
You know, it could go a little south by yourself.
Sure.
And with what they do, think of it as bumpers, right? So as you go through things, they can kind of bump you back and forth. And without that, you could really go south and end up south the whole time.
Yeah.
Where these guys, they'll pull you in and out of what you need to move through. That's part of the music that they play when you're in your treatments. But they move you through emotions. They're not going to bring you to this anger spot and let you fist here for 6 hours. They're going to push you through that, get you to a happiness spot, get you to an empathy spot, let you cry. Oh, I can't tell you, I cried for 2 hours. I mean, my face would hurt crying. But a lot of the treatment and what, not just your facilitator, the other facilitators that are there is a huge part of it.
Yep. And the preparation, there's an extensive preparation
Oh, yes,
before.
extensive.
And the whole point of the preparation for me with my clients is to make sure that they trust me enough to ask for help and accept my help.
Yes.
And then after the journey, the integration is just as important as what happened in the journey. Taking the time to look at what you learned, you get 2 to 4 weeks, sometimes more, of neuroplasticity every time you do mushrooms. So your brain is able to learn new habits, to learn new ways of being. And I see that with Burton, that he made sure that he was staying on himself to not let anger come into his life and to bring more joy into his life. And I've watched him, like, he was just such a loner when he came in. He had Michelle, he didn't have anybody else. And as I've called him through the years and asked him, you know, what's going on in your life, he tells me what's going on with him and his friends.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So I can't say enough about Jadrin. Jadrin Ownby he is an unusual facilitator. He knows what every song is going to do to you at every phase in the mushrooms. So if you come there wanting to get your anger out, he will play songs that will bring your anger up, and then he'll play songs that pull you back down into love and compassion. And it's just
Like Jadrin explained it to me was, I steer, he's going to give me full power when I need it. And the music, it is weird because, like, a lot of people don't know, during treatment, you're blindfolded listening to music usually. And I'll tell you, I mean, we knew there was things I needed to get over, and he knew the music that he needed to play that would take me to those emotions that I needed to deal with,
Yeah.
and pushed me, because like I told him, I need to face it 100%. He pushed me as hard as I could, gave me full power into it. But then once I got to where I have dealt with it, you don't beat a dead horse. So with the music, it would change an emotion and start to steer me away, because I've dealt with this. I don't need to sit there and beat it for an hour, or I would.
Yeah.
And I moved on, and I fixed multiple things in myself, and so many,
Yeah.
amazing.
And that's part of using the eye mask and the music, is that it keeps you from distracting yourself.
Yes.
So you can take mushrooms and go out in the woods. You
Yes.
can go up to Mount Hood, take
beautiful.
mushrooms, and you'll have a beautiful time for
Illegally,
most
but-
people.
Yes.
It's illegal, but for most people, they'll have a beautiful time. But the whole time, it's an outward focus. They're looking at how beautiful these trees are. These trees look like they're 5D instead of
Yeah.
3D. Everything's sparkling. There's all that. But when you do it with an eye mask on and you're just focused on your intention of getting better, things happen in your brain
Yes.
that will not happen when you go out into the woods.
It's a complete loss of conscious reality.
Yeah.
So conscious reality that you see, like at home, if a person took them illegally, you hold on to conscious reality because you see the walls, you see the people. At Vital Reset, you're getting the most out of your experience, because the entire experience is in your mind. You have no reality to hold on to, no conscious reality. You're not staring at the table or going, I'm tripping out, So your entire journey that you go through is all in your mind.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I find that when I go to concerts and use psychedelics, it's like I can feel myself lifting and moving into a different like phase of consciousness or a different like losing the reality.
Hypothetically.
Right? Yeah, hypothetically. It's all in my head. And then I'm like, oh no, there's people around me. I better stay here. You know, and so I really get that for sure. Yeah.
Hey, Josh, did you know that we are funded by our readers in large part?
I did know that, but please tell me more.
Yeah, it's our local readers here that make it possible for us to go out and gather news on local businesses and important issues in our community. And so we need people to support local news. Did you know you can make a difference in our community's economy and culture by supporting local journalism? I bet you did. But maybe you out there don't. And so you should visit our Support Us page at CCCNews.com to subscribe to a monthly donation to keep news local and start making a difference in our community today. Again, that's CCCNews.com.
And remember, CCC News is available for everyone and funded by readers.
Well, thank you so much. This has been
thank you for coming.
Really, really eye-opening. Did I miss anything? Did we miss anything in this?
I think I'd just like to say at the end, biggest thing that I could say to anyone who listens to this, I mean, if you suffer in your life with a fight, you don't have to jump into a treatment. Microdosing was the first thing I started, and it completely changed my life. And Vital Reset offers a legal microdosing way. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you, if you know somebody who has a life like mine, or if you have fights yourself, contact Vital Reset, even if it's for microdosing. Try it for a week. And I'll tell you, microdosing alone is such a big thing that will change a person's life. It's not even funny. Microdosing's huge. Don't get me wrong. The journey and everything, amazing, life-changing. But microdosing is a first step. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it is, when I say a step, it's like a first 6 football field step. After my first microdose, like I said, I never suffered a seizure again in my life. It was the first time I could breathe.
Yeah.
And I would say, if you know somebody who suffers, or if you suffer yourself, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. I never did, because I was too afraid to, being too tough. Yeah. But I'll tell you, contact them, try microdosing, see where your life can go. And I'll tell you, schedule a journey with them if you know somebody, or if you know people that can even help other people do journeys. If I was rich, I would help all I could, because the cost is still a little high in Oregon, because, you know, it's just how the world is right now. Specialist. But I will say this treatment could save so many people and set so many people free to live such a better life. It's not funny.
Yeah. And you're right. The cost is high, but the value is amazing. You cannot everything. Even compare the cost to the value. Yes. If I'd known what I was going to get out of mushrooms, I would have given up my whole retirement account. It's not a lot, given everything, but I would have given everything to get the life I got back. Yeah. And we're also doing a mini dose treatment, which is like 5 microdoses, and you stay for an hour. We put you on our little acoustic lounge.
Oh, amazing!
And which is great, and people get a lot of like early relief out of taking that kind of a little journey, just a little journey. Get your toes in the water.
Nice.
Yeah. Thanks for being such a great marketer for us. You're amazing.
Thanks for sharing.
I couldn't say anything, because honestly, once I made my mind up, like I told my wife, she knew it too. And I mean, it was just a matter of time. And if I wouldn't have came to Vital Reset and got involved in psychedelics, I would not be here. And I can comfortably say that.
Yeah, we had nothing to lose. I mean, it was all on the line, and we knew it.
And I'm just thankful I'm just thankful that you guys answered the phone.
Yep.
I'm thankful I lied to you. I'm thankful that
it's the best lie ever.
Everything that I went through, I'm thankful that Vital Reset gave me a shot, and I'm very thankful of what they learned from me, because when they treat people who are similar to me now, they know what to do instead of kind of being a shot in the dark.
Yeah. This is the beginning, right? I mean, this is
the total beginning.
It's only been around like what was
2 years.
2 years now.
We've been open 2 years, seen 300
clients.
clients.
If we were looking at penicillin 2 years in, we'd be like, I don't know if this works either. Look at it now, right? And so the only way is up. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Burton. Thank you, Michelle, for coming on. We really appreciate all of the great story and testimony we've been able to say.
Thank you. For
wonderful.
Really appreciate it. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching and visiting us on the CCC News podcast. Really appreciate you spending this time with us. You can see more on our website, cccnews.com, subscribe and like, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.